Can you guess what kind of place this is? The white is sand. The dark part is water. This is an incredible place where pure white sand dunes are dotted with countless lagoons. In the Lençóis Maranhenses National Park, the season of water and the season of sand alternate. These lagoons appear and disappear every 6 months. In the season of sand, diamond-like sand grains make the dunes appear pure white. In the season of water, lagoons appear as if by magic. Fish appear from nowhere, and the place becomes a fantastic paradise of living things. Where do these creatures come from, and where do they go? We were granted special permission to film in this wonderland of sand and water. Let's explore Lençóis, arguably the whitest dunes on Earth. Northeastern Brazil. We head for the White Dunes by car. The desert, said to be the whitest in the world, looks pure white even when seen from space. Its area is about 1,500 square kilometers. From the airport 300 kilometers away, it's a full day's drive to our destination. We go off the main road onto an unpaved side road. The surface is covered with thick, soft sand. Vehicles can easily get stuck. We drive carefully in 2 4-wheel drive vehicles. Finally, we are entering the dunes. We can continue on because we have special permission obtained from the park authorities. Look, it's bright white as far as the eye can see, all the way to the horizon. This is the Lençóis Maranhenses National Park. Lençóis means a sheet in Portuguese. It was so named because it looks like clean white bed linen. Though it may look like a world of snow and ice, this place is right on the equator at over 30 degrees Celsius. The reflection from the sand is blinding and penetrates the skin. The lagoons that we saw in striking contrast with the white sand are gone. Most are dried up now. We first visited the Lençóis in the dry season. It's the season of sand, when the white sands play the leading role rather than the blue lagoons. Over the rolling hills of sand flows something that looks like a mist. This is actually sand. In Lençóis, strong wind continually blows in from the sea at 30 meters per second. The sand is carried by this typhoon-force wind and ripples. And eventually collapses. The sand flows down the slope like water. Blown by the wind, the sand creates beautiful patterns on the dune's surface. A wavy pattern covers an entire area. It's art created by Mother Nature in the season of sand. The secret of Linsoy's white appearance lies with the sand itself. When magnified, the sand is transparent and round and sparkles like diamonds. They are quartz, a substance close to crystal. Almost 100% of Linsoy's sand is quartz, so each grain reflects sunlight. That's why the dunes look as white as snow-capped mountains. The quartz is scraped from rock in inland Brazil and carried downstream to the sea along with other materials. These sandy grains have been carried by the currents in the shallow waters along the coast for tens of thousands of years. This is a unique phenomenon, rarely observed elsewhere. While tossed about by the waves, soft grains break down and disappear. But grains of quartz remain intact because they're very hard. Through this process, only quartz grains are left, making up this pure white sand. This sand is then brought ashore by the waves and blown inland by strong easterly winds. This is how the world's whitest dunes, the Lençóis, were formed. January. Thick clouds move in from the sea above the Lençóis. It starts to rain. In Lençóis, the dry season and the rainy season alternate every 6 months. This is the beginning of the rainy season. Over 1,500 millimeters of rain falls in this dry land. And it brings about a dramatic change. Lagoons appear everywhere across the dunes. The lagoons take over the leading role as the season of water begins. The whitest dunes on Earth are now crowded with emerald green lagoons. This magnificent landscape is the collaboration between the sand, the wind, and the rain that can be seen nowhere else in the world. When the season of water begins, animals appear in these sands as if from nowhere. This tortoise is a type of Brazilian slider turtle. Recent DNA analysis has revealed that this is a new species only found around the Lençóis region. They have been sleeping under the sand for 6 months. This one has got a lot of sand stuck around its eyes. Doesn't it hurt? The tortoise just wipes it off. It's heading straight to a newly formed lagoon. This is the first water the tortoise has seen in 6 months. But how can these lagoons form on the dunes? Why doesn't the water just seep into the ground? The secret lies underneath this white sand. When there are no lagoons, if you dig the surface of dunes, see, the sand is wet. Underneath the sand of Lensois, there is a layer of clay which prevents water penetration, so groundwater pools on it all year round. When it rains, the level of the underground water rises and appears as lagoons in the depressions between the sandy hills. This way, every low area turns into a lagoon, and the result is this extraordinary landscape. Countless lagoons have suddenly appeared and are spread endlessly across the vast white dunes of Lensois. Some are as small as 50 meters in diameter. The biggest ones are over a kilometer wide. Lensois has shifted from the season of sand to the season of water. The sudden appearance of the lagoons makes all the creatures of Lensois come alive. Look, something is moving under the sand. Wow, such a cute face! Small frogs jump out of the sand one after another. The grains of sand that stick to its body look quite large because it's only about 2 centimeters long. This is a new species recently discovered in Lensois and is the smallest toad in the world. Perhaps they don't grow very big because there's not much food here. On the other hand, these frogs have very few natural enemies in Lensois. They can also stay under the moist sand during the day to keep themselves from drying up. All in all, it's not a bad place for the frogs. Okay, let's take a look inside the lagoon. Amazingly, there are fish in the water. This is a kind of rice fish, about 3 centimeters long. There are also tropical fish, about 20 centimeters long. More than 10 varieties of fish have been identified in these lagoons. For something that just suddenly appeared, they are surprisingly full of life. Most mysterious are these fish. Where do these countless fish that can't live without water come from? Studies about the creatures of Lensois have only just begun, and we don't yet know how these fish end up in these lagoons. There are some theories, however. One theory is this. There are few lagoons in Lensois that hold water all year round. In the season of water, the newly formed lagoons connect with the permanent ones, and the fish can move into the new lagoon. But not all the lagoons are connected. Some lagoons, like this one, are completely isolated, yet there are fish in them too. That leads us to the second theory, that the fish may survive through the season of sand as eggs. In this theory, the parents lay eggs before the lagoons dry out. The eggs survive protected by the moisture in the sand. They hatch when the lagoons return. In some deserts, some fish have been discovered doing exactly that. Whether that's the case with the fish here, too, is the subject of ongoing studies. When lagoons appear, slider turtles become active. They travel from one lagoon to another. In fact, this turtle hunts underwater. They can only get food when there are lagoons. They are eager to get all the nourishment they'll need for the year during the 6-month season of water. Small fish are eating a dead dragonfly nymph. The tortoise comes up to them, quickly approaches a fish, and catches it. Who would have thought that tortoises could move so fast? Lensois has a diverse topography. There are even 2 oases that are surrounded by forests. People also live in Lensois. 60 people from 11 families are living in villages at these oases. Hello, may I come in? The inside is simple. They sleep in hammocks hanging down from the ceiling. But how do they get food in the middle of this desert-like environment? These villagers are heading out somewhere. They're carrying a net. Are they going fishing? They make their way along sure-footedly. They walk into a large lagoon. So, they are going to try to catch fish here. Well, guess not. They've passed it. There are no landmarks here, yet they seem confident, as if walking in their own backyard. After walking for 2 hours, they've arrived at a beach. Yes, they have come to fish in the sea. Villagers normally don't eat fish from the lagoons because that is their emergency food supply. They have caught 2 kilograms of mullet, enough to feed their family of 7 for 2 days. They will come back again in 2 days to get more fish. After fishing, they walk another 2 hours home. This is the way people live in Lensois. No wonder they know the geography of the dunes like the palm of their hand. November. It's been 4 months since it last rained in Lensois. Many migrating birds visit the lagoons at this time of year. This is a large-billed tern. It dives straight down into the water to catch fish. As the water diminishes, fish become concentrated in the smaller pools. It's a wonderful feeding ground for the terns. They nosedive one after another to capitalize on this opportunity. Lensois in the dry season. Exposed to the glaring equatorial sun, the water in the lagoons quickly evaporates. Something is moving in the remaining water. It's a tadpole. If it doesn't adapt to land before the water disappears, it'll dry up. This one hatched about a month ago. It's already developed limbs and is just one step from becoming a frog. At this stage, it's able to survive the disappearance of the water. If they come to the shore and crawl under the sand, underground moisture will protect them till the next rainy season. A frog enjoys its last dip of the season in the remaining pool. It's getting drier and drier. There's almost no water left in this lagoon. Fish are swimming frantically in the shallow water. Oh dear, some fish in their haste jump out of the water onto the shore. On land, they get blown away by the strong wind. They will not be able to make it back to the water. They are at the mercy of the wind. There's nothing they can do to save themselves. Eventually, they get buried in the sand and completely disappear from view. Frogs born this year hide themselves underground before the lagoons dry up. They survive in the wet sand, avoiding the glaring sun until the lagoons return. Having ingested enough nutrition, the tortoise disappears beyond the dunes to sleep somewhere for the next 6 months in the gentle embrace of the sand. December. The sand has covered everything. The lagoons are gone, and there's no sign of life. Lençóis has gone back to the world of sand again. In equatorial Brazil, South America, these white dunes show a dramatically different face every 6 months. The lagoons appear and disappear over the land of sand, and creatures live in harmony with the rhythm of nature. Further studies may reveal more yet unknown species. In this extraordinary place of sand and water called Lençóis, the world's whitest dunes must still be holding many wondrous secrets waiting to be discovered.